Imagine a world where 99 out of 100 workers are jobless by 2030. Sounds like sci-fi, right? Well, it's not. That's a real prediction from AI researcher Roman Yampolsky. The Great Reset isn't a conspiracy theory. It's happening right now in plain sight. Today. Okay? Well, that prediction is probably a little too extreme, probably dramatically too extreme. The tides are indeed shifting. AI automation has already started taking huge amounts of jobs. Unemployment rates are starting to creep up. Young people are graduating college without jobs, and there's nothing there for them. Governments are drowning in debt. Populations are aging faster than new workers are born, putting strain on retirement systems, healthcare systems, and really everything. The system is literally collapsing in front of our eyes. It's breaking under its own weight. And you've probably got around 10 years or so to get absolutely disgustingly rich before the wealth window closes and the machines take over and the demographics catch up and everything starts going to shit. Bit of a doomeristic take, but the flip side is that this AI, robotics, crypto innovation we're seeing is one of the biggest financial opportunities of a lifetime. Miss it and you'll be stuck playing financial catch-up in a world that's already moved on. It's going to be harder to create wealth in the future. The question isn't whether the reset's coming. It's here. But how do you position yourself now to come out on top in 10 years? So let's break this down. 2025 is already seeing AI rip through industries, taking a ton of jobs with it. But here's the part nobody's ready for. The career ladder itself is breaking. Think about it. If you have kids, what are your kids literally going to do when they graduate school? The world will have changed. The next 10, 15, 20 years will be dramatically different than it is today. CNBC just reported that entry-level jobs that once gave people their first shot at, life and getting on a career ladder and all that stuff, well, they're being taken by AI. Think about it. HP's CEO started in a call center. Walmart's CEO began by unloading trucks. General Motors CEO worked on an assembly line at 18. Those stories of rising up from the bottom all the way to C-suite aren't just inspiring, they've been the backbone of corporate culture and part of the American dream. But AI is wiping out those rungs of the ladder. You don't need those low-level jobs anymore. You might not even need the high-level jobs in the not-so-distant future. Anthropic's CEO predicts 50% of entry-level jobs will be gone in 5 years. That's devastating beyond belief for employment. Data shows a 50% decline in hiring for new grads across tech divisions since 2019. If the bottom rung disappears forever, how do you climb the corporate ladder if you can't even get on the damn thing? The younger generations are being raised with outdated values that are prepping them for a path of destruction, a path that simply no longer exists. This isn't just about jobs, by the way, it's about demographics. See, birth rates are falling globally, particularly in the developing economies. Yes, there's still a few countries that are exploding with birth rates, but they're the minority. Populations are aging and staying alive for longer. Japan, South Korea, Spain, Italy, on and on it goes. Even the US, if it wasn't for the extremely aggressive immigration, would be facing the same pressures. All these countries are facing shrinking workforces and exploding retiree populations. Fewer workers means fewer people paying taxes into an already bankrupt system. It's not looking good, folks. Meanwhile, the cost of supporting retirees keeps rising. You're left with a future where governments need more young workers. But AI is erasing the very jobs that once gave them a start. It's a 1-2 punch. Fewer people entering the workforce and fewer jobs for them, even if they do. That's why this reset isn't decades away. It's literally happening right now, and it's baked into the system, and it's a guarantee that this is what is coming. It's a grim fate for those who are unprepared. Which brings us to the debt problem. But before we get into that, guys, I'm a big believer in cryptocurrencies, but you need a good place to buy them. You need a good place to trade them, okay? And when it comes to trading, Femex is the exchange that delivers. Deep liquidity, worldwide access, meaning it doesn't matter where you live, you can use Femex. You might need a VPN in some cases. Rock solid security. I've literally been using Femex for years. Right now, they're giving you an even better reason to take the leap and jump in using that affiliate link right down below here. Deposit $200 or more, trade one time, and you'll walk away with $50 instantly. On top of that, there's up to $800 in trading rewards waiting for you, plus a 1 Solana bonus on top of that. And here's the kicker. 5 traders this month will each win another 1 Solana. So if you're serious about crypto, might be the time to make the move and hop on the Femex train, link down below. Okay, so the debt problem, guys. Look, governments are trapped. They cannot generate enough revenue in taxes to pay the bills. So what do? They borrow more. Global public debt is already around 95% of world GDP and projected to blow past 100% by 2030. It's just not sustainable. The unemployment rising, the tax revenues will fall. Well, the burden has never been higher for Social Security and stuff as demographics switch from younger workforces to a bunch of old retirees. The French are proving this to be the case. Their government literally just collapsed after the prime minister received a vote of no confidence, and I can see why, because their debt to GDP ratio is currently 114%. This reaches the levels where basically countries collapse. That's the third highest public debt in the Eurozone after Greece and Italy, and equivalent to 50,000 euros of debt per French citizen. Ce n'est pas bon, mais non. Here's the brutal math as outlined by Jeff Booth in his book, The Price of Tomorrow. It took $185 trillion of global debt to create just $46 trillion of global economic growth over the last 2 decades. That's how inefficient the global monetary system currently is, because there's so many leeches sucking the blood out of the system. But Jeff Booth argues that the world is naturally deflationary, where every advance in technology is actually making things faster, cheaper, better, more efficient. That's great in theory for consumers, but we live in an inflationary system where prices essentially must always go up. Deflation would mean less revenue, lower prices, and shrinking tax bases, which the governments don't want. They're in a tricky spot. Governments bet on infinite growth to service infinite debt. Yet the very technology that is currently driving the future is eroding the foundations of their very economic model. The central bank experiment may be coming to an end. So what do? They cheat. They print more money. But you can only print money so much, because the more you debase the currency, the more you have to print. And at some point, it just becomes funny money in the streets if they print a little bit too hard. They inflate away the debt while telling you inflation's under control, everything's cool, don't worry, it's all transitory, baby. But it's not. You're watching the end game of a system that cannot reconcile exponential debt with exponential deflation. Look, it's not just me or even Jeff Booth saying this. Some of the greatest minds in the world, people like Ray Dalio, have been sounding the alarm on this for years. And at some point, he's going to be right. It's one of those things you can't say, well, this is the day it's all going to collapse, but it will. AI accelerates that deflationary pressure is going vertical. Governments can't tax robots the way they tax workers. I guess there's going to be a robot tax at some point in the future. But if half of entry-level jobs vanish this decade, that's not just a labor crisis, it's a tax revenue crisis. And all these young unemployed people will also need to be helped by the governments. So less tax revenue and more people needing handouts. It's a perfect storm crisis. Debt spirals even faster, forcing even more money printing until they just can't do it anymore and the whole damn system collapses under its own disgusting weight. It's a vicious loop with no end in sight. The reset is unfolding right before your eyes. Remember, you are going to own nothing. You better be damn well happy about it. So if the old system is breaking, the obvious question is, how do you make sure you're not one of the millions left behind? Because most will be left behind. Most don't see it coming. Most are going to be hit with this reality like a truck. So how do you actually come out of this wealth reset, the great reset, ahead of the curve? The answer is you don't fight the trend. You align with it. If governments are going to keep inflating their currencies into oblivion, guess what? You need an asset that's out of their control. Bitcoin. Oh, I know, he's talking about the Bitcoin thing again. Bitcoin is the purest bet against the debt spiral. And while it's not immune to the fluctuations in risk assets, it is a very special asset in itself. It's the one asset that can't be printed, inflated, or manipulated by central banks. Every reset in history has created winners and losers. And the winners are always the ones holding the scarce assets, while everything else gets devalued by paper. There's a reason why central banks around the world have been mad stacking gold, because gold still has value. Second, AI and robotics stocks. I've been investing more in these. You don't want to be competing with machines. You want to own the companies that are literally building the machines. AI companies and robotics companies are probably going to be some of the absolute biggest winners over the next 5 to 10 years. The world's most valuable companies in 2030 will be the ones that replaced millions of jobs of software and robots. Currently, there's very few bets on the public market for these. Tesla is a great example of a company that's doing, the robots. We have a few good AI companies out there. A lot of the big cap stuff, the Magnificent Seven, are all AI companies, or at least a big part of the business is now AI. Now, if half of entry-level work disappears, these profits don't just vanish, they migrate to balance sheets of tech companies like NVIDIA and Tesla and emerging AI leaders, things like Perplexity and Anthropic that are not even on the markets yet, but are receiving insane valuations already. Third is energy. Look, AI ain't free, baby. The computing power behind it eats energy like crazy, and the world is nowhere near prepared for that surge. Data centers are being called the new oil fields. So one of the reasons why I invested in Galaxy Digital this week is because of their data center plays. And I want more data center plays. I want more energy plays. I've got nuclear energy companies. I've got all kinds of energy company plays in my portfolio, my stock portfolio, right? All of these data centers are going to require massive amounts of electricity to function. Bitcoin mining company Irene is already transitioning into becoming a hyperscaler after signing a deal with NVIDIA to become its preferred partner for GPUs. Owning energy stocks, whether that's oil, gas, nuclear, renewables, Bitcoin mining companies, these things could be a gold mine come 2030, because guess what? If all this AI shit's gonna happen, we're probably gonna need to double global energy production capacity. So this is the formula you need to follow to get rich in the Great Reset. Hard money, disruptive tech, and the power to fuel it all. You don't have long to build exposure to these sectors before the reset closes the window. The people who act now won't just survive, they will thrive. Remember, no one is coming to save you. You have to understand this. Your government's not gonna save you. Your government doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. They are pushing full speed ahead on the train, and there's no bridge, and we're gonna go over the bridge, and it's gonna be dramatically bad for a lot of people in the world. And I'm not saying this to scare you, I'm saying this to wake you up, because the only one who's gonna be able to save you and your family is you. That's it. Your pension's probably not even gonna be there. If you're my age or younger, your pension's probably not even gonna be there. You have to save yourself. Put on your oxygen mask first financially, and then you can help others around you. That's how it's gotta be. It is a crazy system right now. But the fact of the matter is, the government are forcing us all to be speculators. The old model of get a job, get a house, get a car. One person does that. They work at the factory. Wife stays home, raises your 3.2 kids or whatever. It doesn't work anymore. That dream's long gone. In the words of the great George Carlin, they call it the American dream because you have to be asleep to believe it. Thanks for watching.